Good morning, Rabotai. Shavua Tov, everybody. Tuesday, the 16th day of Shevat, corresponding to January 22nd, 2019. We dedicate today's class La'ilui Nishmat, Master Hazan, Moshe Tawil, Ben Yael, Me'elia Kohen. I believe the majority of the Kahal remember Mr. Tawil fondly. Today is the first anniversary of his passing. Many of you remember by the 11th month we had a special Hazanut concert and program in his loving memory. So needless to say that besides being a great Hazan and a master of Hazanim, but he was someone who had not only a tremendous love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but he had a tremendous love for tefillah, the aspect of prayer. With your permission, I'd like to share with the Kahal Kadosh a bookmark that speaks about some tips for tefillah. There are a few here, small in size, for those watching. I'm not sure if you're able to get it. Okay? Thank you. But I like to speak about it. And this will be La'ilui Nishmato. And Be'ezat Hashem, we enhance the power of prayer. The prayer that I'm going to be talking about today is not only personal prayer that many times people do throughout the day. Prayer that I would like to speak about is Shaharit, Mincha, and Arvit. Rashi Tevot, Shema. That's what you need to remember. Shaharit, Mincha, Arvit. These are the words of our daily prayers. So he writes, and it says, prayer in its deepest meaning is the ladder which leads from earth to heavens. What does this mean? With your permission, I'd like to quote a pasuk in this week's parasha that the Ben Ish Chai gives a fascinating explanation related to the sentence that I just read. The sentence that I just read is, if you want to climb to the rooftop, you need a ladder. If you want to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we need tefillah. Listen to this pasuk. There is a pasuk in this week's Parashat Yitro, the Ten Commandments obviously, but at the end of the parasha, the pasuk writes, in Mizbah Adama ta'aseh li, build for me an altar. And Rashi says, Mehubbar ba'adama, connected to the ground. As the Ben Ish Chai, if a table has legs, why doesn't the Mizbeach have legs as well? Why the Mizbeach needs to be connected to the ground? You know what the Ben Ish Chai says in this week's parasha? Because a person needs to understand that our connection with God doesn't start medium height. It starts from the ground. It starts from the bottom. Meaning to say, yesterday in the class that we gave on Tu B'Shvat, we explained about the 4 levels of the creation of the world. I'm just going to write the first letter of each one. Feel free to help me. Domem, Someach, Hai, Medaber. Humans, animals, things that grow, and inanimate objects. This is what I wrote in Hebrew. I give you the short version, so I make it fast. Domem, inanimate. Someach, things that grow. animal kingdom, high, and humans, medaber, the power of speech. In the world of tefillah, we have a concept called abiyah. I'll explain now quickly. Asiya, Yetzira, Beria, Atzilut. These four words that I just said are very deep Kabbalistic concepts that is easier to talk about them than to understand them. But basically, and I'm going to bring you something that we all can relate. Every part of the tefillah connects itself to a different part of the world. We begin with korbanot. I'm going to do it in Hebrew abbreviation. Korbanot. We begin at the lobby of the tefillah. Then I come to Baruch She'amar. I go to the mezzanine. Then I come to the Beria. I come to the Tower Street. And then I come to the Atzilut, to the rooftop. I use these words because most of the people around me, at least in Miami, live in condominiums. And these words are found in the elevator. You will not find the 13th floor, but you will find the penthouse. The Amidah is the highlight of the prayer. Then comes Yotzer and Shema, Baruch She'amar till Yotzer, and the beginning is Korbanot. Okay? If you look at these four words, it gives you the word Yaakov. Why Yaakov? Because Yaakov is the one of the ladder. Ve'inem malachei Elokim olim beyoredim bo. This Hidush just came up now. This is custom made this second. When I started to talk, I didn't see what I just wrote. Where it came from? In the Siddur. It's good to pay attention sometimes when we read. On the Shabbat part of the prayer, thank you, there is the part that says, Befi Yesharim. Befi Yesharim titromam upsifte sadikim. If you look here, what does it give you? Ishak Rivka. It's here. Ishak, Yod, Sadik, Het, Kof, Rivka, Resh, Bet, Kof, He. This is found hidden in Befi Yesharim of Shabbat morning. Check it out, you'll find it. If you don't find it, look again. It should be there. What was the first thing that I mentioned in the name of Mr. Mo Towel? The tefillah is the ladder that connects us with a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, needless to say, that part of tefillah is not only the reading, is not only the lip service. Tefillah also includes kavanah. That's why today, Baruch Hashem, we are very fortunate, not only that we have technology of the spreading of Torah, but we have Siddurim available with English translation. And there is a Siddur out there, Sephardic Siddur as well. You read the English, you read the Hebrew, and you have the English. One is linear, one is underneath. And there is another Siddur that is transliteration. You have three: Hebrew reading, translation, and transliteration, which stands for how to pronounce the words reading in English letters. I remember when I was in the Kitab, there was one book for the entire class. And I'm sure many of you remember that. No Siddurim. Siddurim we had. But we needed books of learning. Whoever bought the book, we made copies for everybody, obviously with the author's permission. Next, we need to learn how to pray beyond the external shell into its deep meaning. What is trying to say? Many times, people judge a hazan by the speed of his prayers. And I will tell you one thing, and I know this is going live from Miami, not live from New York, live from Miami. I know. You're a comedian, I know. Okay? I am also, after hours. Okay? Anyways, I'm multitasking at this time. A Hazan that you determine his goodness by the speed of his prayers. If he prays excessively fast, it's not something to be proud of. And I remember Mr. Tawil alav shalom, and I cannot give you a number of how many times throughout the years he will come to me and he will come to our Hazan or whoever went up to the Teva and he says, are you counting potatoes or you counting money?
No, diamonds.
You're counting diamonds. Now, we do understand that there is the factor of time, and we are not oblivious to that. But we need to know, you know what the Pelei Yoes calls the Hazan? Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol. That's what he writes. Shaliach Sibur. So the Hazan needs to be conscientious of praying at a medium range pace to enable people to follow. And this was something that he made great emphasis of pronouncing properly. Sometimes a person swallows the words. As we learned yesterday in the laws of Tu B'Shvat, the importance of pronouncing the words properly. Tefillah is not different, especially when it comes to the Shirah, when it comes to the Amidah, to Birkat Kohanim, Hazara, Kriyat Shema. All these things we need to do, pay attention to. The 3 periods of the daily prayer are the climax of the day. Sure. Why? Because these are the few moments that we're not driving, we're not doing nothing in business, we're coming to the house of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hopefully, and today we need to say it, hopefully we remember to make sure that the phone does not ring during prayers, because unfortunately became an epidemic in our days. You hear phone ringing constantly, you hear people texting during the prayer, people answering phones during prayer. How did we manage when we didn't have cell phones? How did we manage? We survived. We lived happier, with less anxiety. Correct? 100%. 100%. So we need to be sensitive and understand that when we come to pray, we want to be able to pray with a certain peace of mind. And I think that not looking at the cell phone, not answering the cell phone, like somebody said to me the other day, Rabbi, from now on, I'm leaving my cell phone in the car. Hazako Baruch. If you have that discipline, it's beautiful. But some of us cannot afford it. But at least when we come into the knees, put a ringer off. Start with that. And believe me, when the phone doesn't ring, and if the phone vibrates, you don't run to see who it is. You will see how your tefillah, our tefillah, and everybody's tefillah will become much more meaningful. The body needs nourishment. Yesterday we discussed the importance of water. Water for the tree, water for the fish, water for the neshama. What is the neshama's water? The Torah. But you know what else is the water for the neshama? Tefillah. Tefillah nourishes the neshama. Why? Short answer. Because tefillah bonds us with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we come to say, Hakel, HaGadol, HaGibor, VeHaNorah, all these holy words from the prayers, if we truly understand the literal translation of the words, guaranteed our prayers will have much more meaning than what they have today. I'm not free of sin. I'm a fast reader, but I try to control myself. I remember when we were kids, we used to have a competition in the Kitab. Who will finish the Amidah faster? That was the competition in the Kitab. I'm going back a few years. I'm not going to tell you how many. Few, relax. Few means less than 50. Baruch Hashem. Okay? And we used to have a competition in the Kitab. And I remember that one kid was able to finish the Amidah in a minute and a half.
Wow.
Okay?
He didn't read. He didn't say anything.
Hazal Baruch. So the rabbi asked him, the Moreh from the Kitab asked him, did you flip the pages or you said Havinenu? Havinenu is a short version in the Talmud. When a person cannot say the full prayer, there is a shortcut that a person can take, especially in moment of emergency or a moment of need. So the rabbi, I remember vividly, and something that we said before in the name of Mr. Towel, perhaps they have the same teacher in Halab. You're counting diamonds. Imagine yourself, the bank calls you, says, Mr. Shalom, please come to Bank of America safe and take whatever you can. Are we going to stop talking to our friends? Are we going to stop even to have a drink, to have a coffee? No. We're going to be there for whatever amount of time that we have, and we're going to make sure to maximize that moment. So I personally try during Rosh Hashanah and Kippur to read commentaries on the prayers, on the tefillah. And one day, I bought a book in Brooklyn. It's called The Pathway to Prayer. It's a book, very thin book. They have Sephardic and Ashkenazi versions for the entire calendar, but only about the Amidah. Not only has the literal translation of the sentence, but it also has the commentary of what that sentence made. And I tell you that unless I was going to be the Hazan for that Musaf of Rosh Hashanah, probably till today I would have been reading from the book. Because it took at least a minute to a minute and a half per side of the page that covers 6 lines of the Amidah. So out of the Rahamim to the Sibur, I had to expedite my reading. And Baruch Hashem, I understand when I read, but I wanted to go deeper. And I couldn't stop reading. So I said to myself, okay, every Amidah of the holidays, I'm going to read 1 page only. And then another page. And then another page. At the end of Simchat Torah, I finish the entire prayer. Okay, something very powerful and very meaningful. So like food is for the body, tefillah is for the neshama. And prayer is what bonds us with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No one can deny that prayer is a tool to connect, to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, lately, and this is not something new what I'm going to say, but lately there is a concept called Hitbodedut. Hitbodedut, you can translate it like meditation. Meditating about Hashem, talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You can talk to Hashem any moment of the day, at any language. But when we pray with a Sibur, it's not me praying, or you are praying, or you are praying. We are all praying. Something's called Asara Kohot HaNefesh. When we pray with a minyan, we are we're creating a package of energy. Whose energies? Everyone. Every person in their way, in their kavanah, etc. So this is something that was very dear to Mr. Motawil alav shalom. So Yhi Ratzon that by the words that I said in his honor, his neshama be elevated in Gan Eden, and so be a melis yosher for the family and for everybody who stayed here for today's class. This was only the introduction to today's class. Now we go to the portion of the Chok Israel today. One thing that I'm being reminded also, besides the power of prayer and the beautiful voice that he had, and you know, you're welcome to listen to the CDs made by the great Hazan and master of Hazanim, but he was also meticulous when it came, I think, to the topic of Birkat Kohanim. Now what was it? To make sure that the shoes are not next to the area where the Kohanim are standing. Keep the shoes on the side. Something to be thoughtful of. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam שהכל נהיה בדברו. Amen. Today is what? Tuesday.
22nd.
פעמיים כי טוב. Beautiful. 22nd day of January 16 of Shevat. Okay, רבותיי. The Musar of today. Not easy to speak about it publicly. So I try to do the best that I can. And this is a topic that how repetitive it may sound, but this is the menu for the next 4 weeks. We covered 4 weeks so far. Now we have 4 more weeks. The time of Shovavim Tat. Time of personal holiness, self-introspection in the topic of family purity. And today's Musar talks about looking at the opposite gender. You need to say, if you look at the opposite gender, it's good. Haz v'shalom. Let's do the Musar, do the talking. Hamistakel benashim. Many times we say in a class, when a person goes to a beach, should go to a kosher beach, if there is such a thing. But what does it mean, kosher and non-kosher? Literally means modesty. Who is there? If a person goes to a place that spiritually is challenging, you're going to see people ladies in bathing suits, for example. We know very clear the halakha. And I know that we have ladies watching and listening, and men as well. But the Musar of today says, Amistakel benashim lehenot mehem. A person looks, and what happens when a man looks? Ha'ain ro'a behalev homed. Plain English. The eye sees and the heart desires. What I'm trying to say. First, there is a pasuk. The pasuk says, "Belotaturu acharei lebabchem ve'acharei einechem." Don't follow your heart, don't follow your eyes. Asher atem zonim acharehem, because it brings inappropriate thoughts to the life of the person, to the mind of the person. And the Gemara says in Masechet Yoma, I believe, thoughts of sin are not less dangerous than committing a sin. And the Gemara says that the thoughts of sin is more dangerous. Kasher hirhure me'avera yoter me'avera, the Gemara says. Why? Because the negative thoughts of impurity in the mind of the person, they become implanted in the brain of the person. You know, there is a concept when a person dates a known topic known as Shomer Negi'ah. I'm sure you heard of this. Shomer Negi'ah means that a boy and a girl are dating and they don't touch each other till the day that they get married. That's a very holy and appropriate way of dating. Why? Simple answer is that a single girl that is dating obviously has certain age. And once the girls reach certain age, and doesn't need to be a dating age but much younger, she starts developing a monthly cycle. And the only way halachically that a monthly cycle can be purified is how? By going to the mikveh. And single girls don't go to the mikveh till when? Till the day that they get married. Or the day before. Okay? Usually the night before, the day before, depends on the tradition. So what does it mean? That a girl that you are dating, she is halachically on a state of nidah. And if she is on a state of nidah, you cannot touch her. You cannot even touch your wife if she is nidah. Right? Even passing, you need to put it down based on certain halachic guidelines. So if this is about our own wife, your wife, the mother of your children, imagine yourself a single boy and a single girl. And I know that what I'm saying could be heavy for some people. But this is the menu of the day. You go to a restaurant, what's the menu of the day? What's the special of the day? What's the soup du jour? What's the soup of the day? Okay? So this is it. This is the soup of the day. Sometimes you go to a restaurant in Miami, you ask, do you have soup today? No, only in New York. Okay? Because of the weather. But nowadays you have a lot of people from New York, so you can find
That is cold
soup.
soup.
Yes, cold soup also. Gazpacho I think it's called, right? Thank you. Gazpacho, whatever. Anyways, that's one element. Not only that, touch. The human touch is more powerful than we think. And when a boy and a girl hold hands, when they are not married, that leads to one extra move, a hug. And a hug brings the next. And the other level has the shalom. I don't want to talk publicly.
No.
We have a couple of minors present in the audience today due to winter break. But for the teenagers and above, keep your hands to yourself. It's beneficial at all levels, morally and spiritually and emotionally. So you may ask yourself, Rabbi, okay, I'm not touching, I'm only looking. Why are you looking? It's not yours.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, and what if she's married? Uh-oh. And first of all, if you're looking for shidduchim, we may find some leniencies where to look. Definitely South Beach is not a place to look, and the beach is not a place to look, and a nightclub is not a place to look. You look in normal places.
Sure.
You know, in shul, you know, and sometimes people come for this purpose.
Yeah.
Rabbi, I'm coming to shul. Are there young men available? I get phone calls like this all the time.
Hamduvi.
Okay, right? Hamduvi in Brooklyn. And many others. See the same thing. People call, I'm coming this week. Look for me for a boy, 30 to 40.
The red carpet.
Okay? Well established. Who likes to travel. I said, what else? Give me the whole Megillah, and I get you Malach. I said, Rohi, استنى شوية. Look for the person to be a good person. You want the lifestyle of the rich and famous. What do you bring to the table? I asked one person who asked me, he gave me a list. I want this. And what do you offer? I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
Say Hazar Baruch, I'm also a good guy.
Nice guy. He has a nice car.
You remember the story I said the other day? He's telling he has a nice car. I told someone the other day that he's going on a date. I said, I beg you, do me a favor. Don't bring your car to the date. But I have a nice car. I said, the problem with your car is that anyone who sees your car is going to say, yes, when do we get married? Because it's a high-end, very expensive, six-figure cars. So what do I do? Yes, 2 doors. Okay, what do I do? It says rent a car. Go to Dollar Rent a Car or whatever car rental company, rent a car, make the date about both of you, not about the elegant car that you may be driving. And this is something that is not the first time I've done it. I've done it several times throughout the years. I don't know how it's in New York, but in Florida, same thing. Okay, in Florida, you know, people have nice cars. The weather helps also. No snow, you know, the streets are even, etc. No cold weather, usually with the exception of a couple of days. So people here do perhaps certain things. You know, somebody said, oh, in Aventura, everybody's wealthy. I said, no,
Not necessarily.
it's a misconception that you have. No, but the buildings are so nice. I says, you know how many people cannot afford the rent? And the only reason they live here is because they need to be next to a good Sephardic synagogue, and they tighten the belt in order to live a observant way of life. Let's continue with the Musar of today. It says, don't follow your eyes, don't follow your heart. But now the Musar takes a turn about an interesting halakha connected to the topic of intimacy, bringing children to the world. I think the Gemara talks about, and this is found very clearly written in the loss of family purity, when the halakha talks about certain situations which are detrimental to the relationship between husband and wife. One of them is mahashava. What's in the brain of the person when the mitzvah is being fulfilled? You may ask yourself, what has to do the mahashava with the mitzvah? So according to the Zohar Kadosh, the zera of the man, foundation, is here. Starts from the mahashava of the person. That's why if a person has v'shalom, has a thought of, God forbid, to divorce his wife, cannot be together. If they are together and is thinking on someone else, that has an effect on the unborn child. And that's what it says, the Musar of today. It says, because the brain of the person, sometimes a person has nightmares or dreams which are not good. Where this comes from? One answer is certain things that a person saw during the day. That's a given. So the more good things we see, the more positive our life becomes. You go to the Kotel and you see thousands of Yehudim praying together. What does that do to your neshama? That brings a spark of holiness. You walk into a yeshiva, and I do this when I travel, especially to Israel. You walk into a yeshiva, you walk into a kollel, you stand by the door, you open the door, you look, you breathe, and you leave. What did you just do? Tehiyat metim to your neshama. because you're absorbing holiness. You come to the knees and you see hundreds of people praying and all the minyanim full to capacity. How do you feel? You feel great. Why do you feel great? The satisfaction is not physical at that moment. The satisfaction is from the neshama, that you're getting positive thoughts, you're getting holy thoughts. And that's what the Musar of today says, that when a person has v'shalom, puts into their mind forbidden thoughts, and that's why today is very popular, filters for the internet, right? And you hear about kosher cell phones, and kosher iPads, and kosher computers, and tag, and guard your eyes, and all these wonderful institutions. What is the purpose of these institutions? One answer and one answer only. Protecting our eyes, protecting our neshama. And it's not easy, because today, who doesn't have a computer? If you don't have a computer, you should be sitting in the rabbi seat and give berachot to people, because your mind is super pure. But many of us that have computers and have laptops and have iPads, and not one or two, sometimes you have one in each room, some in each office, and lo aleinu velo alechem, sometimes you go to a kosher website and what do you have? The Yetzer Hara knocking on your door. You have a pop-up.
Yeah.
Right? That's why today is very popular to put filters. We understand that we cannot divorce ourselves from technology. Look at our table. If you are here, get closer to my area. You see how many, it looks like Best Buy or BrandSmart, or who else is in the electronic business? Sakar Electronics. Okay, all kinds of gadgets, all kinds of technological tools for the spreading of Torah. But these same tools can be utilized to be a fan or an extension of the Yetzer Hara. It's all with measurement, with guidelines and the proper protection. And it says that many times people wonder why sometimes there are children that are not really connected, which is, lo aleinu velo alechem, a critical segment of the Jewish people. This condition is called OTD. There is OCD, there is OD, and there is OTD, off the derech. What's the meaning of off the derech? It means children from good families that, God forbid, they took a detour. Now, there are many factors that could cause such a reaction. Childhood, negative influences, negative environment, peer pressure, social pressure, friends that are not a good influence on the children, and no one can deny it. And I see around the room we have about all segments of the family, from grandparents, great-grandparents, to children and grandchildren, and all ages in between. How much pressure our kids endure in school. Bullying. For example, we talked about the other day about a very dangerous game. I don't know how to play it, thank God, but I do know that it's already creating havoc in the life of people. Fortnite. Have you heard of this? Or maybe in New York you don't have it.
We have it.
You have it?
Okay,
Argentina also? Okay, so I see that Em Bait Asher En Sham Met. Every country has its own enemy. So this is a game that, including here, we had a couple of situations of children spending exorbitant amount of money to buy life, to get an upgrade in their weapon of choice. I may be a rabbi, but I'm normal. Okay? Thank God. I hope. Okay? So I know what's out there. And sometimes I know because of other people's problems. And they talk to me, they ask for help. I don't have the solutions, but I'm a good listener. Baruch Hashem. And we had a couple of kids hooked to this kind of game that is addictive. And unfortunately, it led children and teenagers to commit suicide, God forbid. Yes. Yes, follow the news, Rabotai. You can't be oblivious. And some people utilize this game to attract, I don't want to say the word because you have a lot of kids in the room, inappropriate relationships. God forbid. So parents today cannot be naive. You know the meaning of naive?
I don't know.
Inocentes. No, mi hijo es un tzaddik. Chavdehu vehashdehu. We need to be a father. We need to be a mother. We need to be a friend. We need to be a body. In other words, we need to have presence. As I said to somebody the other day, you know your biggest problem in life is that you are an absentee parent. You are an absentee parent. No, I'm providing. I says, you know what? In Yiddish there is a statement that says, Tut mir nicht kan Teufels. Verstehst? Don't do me no favors. He's watching, he knows what I'm saying. Don't do me no favors. You could be a good provider, but you're not a good father. You're not there. You're not there. You're complaining about your wife. Your wife is the husband of the house. Your wife is the mother of the house. And where do you fit into the picture? It's better that a person is connected to the son and daughter, meaning to say as parents, and not has v'shalom, that they find alternative sources of encouragement, of acceptance. Today, to be a father is much more challenging than 20, 30 years ago. Today, to be a kid is very challenging. Today, to be a teenager is super, super challenging. But Baruch Hashem, we have our Torah that gives us guidelines. And it tells us, choose your friends. Why parents make emphasis to send the kids to certain types of schools. And sometimes schools that may be stronger than what the people are. Because we understand that investing in our children at a young age, you're only going to see the dividends much later in life. You don't see instant results when you send your kids to school. The only instant result you see is tuition bill and homework and grades, and hopefully if you pay tuition, you get the report card. Correct? Correct? Thank you. I'm a father, so I know. I know the whole spiel. I'm a grandfather too, Baruch Hashem. Thank God. No great-grandfather. Relax. Anyways, you understand? So, the Musar of today is adding one more component. That the thought that the parents have during the moment of fulfilling the mitzvah together has an influence on the future of the child. And if a person, God forbid, and that's what the Musar says, has a thought of inappropriateness while he's with his wife, and this means thinking about someone else because we saw someone else or because we watched something. Why there is so much about against watching TV? Today, if you only watch TV, you are okay. But online, you don't have to have a TV to watch TV today. It became more dangerous. I'm not giving a hechsher to TV. Let's clarify. But compared to what other things are available online, TV has certain boundaries, which still, I repeat, because this is being watched live from I don't know where, and is being listened to, and is being taped, and is being recorded, and soon will be distributed. I'm not giving a share on TV, but society is on a huge decline. Society, what was forbidden or abnormal today, it's the norm. And today, everything goes. Today, everything is permissible. And it says, the Musar of today, that we start investing spiritually on the life of our children when we start investing in ourselves. I'll finish with a personal anecdote. You may have heard this from me before, but I see the proper time to share it one more time. Recently, we moved closer to the synagogue. Baruch Hashem. We are very thankful and very grateful that we are very close. For security reasons, I cannot tell you where I live. We leave it like that. But I used to walk almost a mile coming to shul. And I used to walk with our president and many others. So one day we're leaving the complex, coming to the knis, and he tells me, Rabbi, don't look to the left. The Yetzer Hara is coming. I said, Uli. So I look to the right, and I say to him, don't look to the right. The Yetzer Hara is coming. Okay, so if you're going to look to the left, and you cannot look to the right, where do you look? You look down. What do we see? A magazine. You understand? When the Yetzer Hara wants to get us, he will get us. But I tell you what I do whenever that happens. First, I tell you a few good things. If a person, can I go 5 more minutes?
10 minutes.
No, I have a ladies class in Spanish. I need to get ready. That's a tough crowd. This is for me breakfast. The ladies class is a more different crowd. You know, you tolerant, you listen, they ask questions, and they, different style of class. But anyways, that class is in Spanish, by the way. Yesterday was in English, today is in Spanish, different class. So first, the best weapon of spiritual protection is Torah. But it's also Shemirat ha'einayim, watching our eyes. What do we see? What we don't see. Not everything that is there to be seen, we should see. That's why, you walk into the mall. Let's say your wife wants you to go to the mall. Okay? You need to walk to the mall with chokhmah. You need to see where you're walking. There are certain stores that you should avoid. No, I'm going with my wife. There are certain stores that a man cannot walk in. And I'm trying to make any graphic statements, but you understand. Dai lahacham bil mizah. That's one way. You see something inappropriate, accidentally, obviously, turn your head. You're standing in the checkout of the cashier in the supermarket, don't look at the magazine racks, because you're going to see things. That's why there is a movement today in America, and I'm not talking about Lakewood or Monroe or Borough Park or Williamsburg. There is a Goy movement in America that they want to create a system that all the checkout lanes in the supermarkets, they cover the magazines and they only leave the title visible. Why? Because even parents and Goyim parents, they realizing that the kids are getting exposed to alternate lifestyles and National Enquirer headlines at a young, tender age. And it goes against all the principles of morality and civility. That is what's going on in our days. If a person has negative thoughts that are affecting the body of the person. And because we are a female audience, I'm going to leave it at that. It affects the body of the men. It causes a physical reaction. You know what the Ben Ish Chai says? You should imagine in your brain Hashem's name. Yod Ke Vav Ke. But the way you should think about it, you should, thank you. You see this word? What's the meaning of that word? Ir'a means what?
Fear.
Fear. That's the literal meaning. But means irat shamayim. You know what the Ben Ish Chai says? Take these vowels, Hirik, Sheva, Kamas, and put it under the letters Yod, Ke, Vav, Ke. And when the brain thinks about the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the body shuts down. Unbelievable concept. He gives additional formulas that will save them for some other time. But this is an easy one to remember. Yod Ke Vav Ke. That is, if God forbid, a person, Haz v'Shalom, may have thoughts which are getting dangerous, physically and emotionally. To finish in a positive statement. So if we understand that negative thoughts are detrimental to the mind of the person, especially when the mitzvah is fulfilled, what should a person think during the moment that the mitzvah is being fulfilled with his wife? What thoughts do you put in your mind? So I tell you what it says in the holy books. You put the thoughts of A, you are fulfilling a positive commandment from the Torah, of Ona. Ona in English means her time. The time for husband and wife. Onata, she'ira, kesuta, onata, lo igra. This is besides the time that you spend talking to your wife, or listening to your wife, or speaking with your wife. I don't say arguing, or fighting, or bickering. I hope that doesn't apply in any of our homes.
Amen.
Amen. Double. Okay? But proper dialogue and conversation must exist between husband and wife. But during the moment that that mitzvah is being done, have that kavanah and fulfilling the positive commandment of the Torah, of affection, of love. But also have in mind that, especially on the younger department, that Hashem should bless the relationship with a child that is going to be from a good source, neshama. You know what the Ben Ish Chai says? And I'm not telling you to try this at home. But I do know people who do it.
Too late.
No, it's never too late. I understand what you're saying, but there is always someone that can benefit. You know what the Ben Ish Chai says? You ready for this? That when husband and wife do the mitzvah, to wear sisit katan.
Yeah.
Relax. It's black on white written. Sisit katan.
Yeah.
And it says, because there is a different level of neshama with sisit katan versus no sisit katan. But hold on. How do you do the mitzvah with sisit katan if the Gemara says that the bodies need to touch? They cannot be garments between the bodies. That's a very clear concept. Why? Because that's how some goyim do it. Especially the Persians. The Gemara tells us the Persians used to uncover only a couple of inches from the garments in order to do that act. But the Torah says no. Vehayu lebasar ehad. There needs to be full body contact. So what do you do if you have the sisit katan? So I tell you very simple. You put the sisit katan, you put it as a cape. That's what the Ben Ish Chai says. But I need to say a disclaimer, because I don't want shalom bayit. I don't want phone calls 1 o'clock in the morning. If you're a mekubal after Hasad Laila, Rabbi, because of you, my wife says, go back to your room.
You will sleep on the couch. You will sleep on the couch.
Sleep on the couch. God forbid. God forbid. I'm not trying to create mahloket in anyone's home, but if your wife tells you go to the other bedroom, you need to call me the next morning to find out why she said that. Haz v'shalom. Even when the wife is nida, stay in your bedroom. That's why we have separate beds or separate mattresses. That's all. No, it's not complicated. There is no halakha to leave the room. Actually, mothers could sleep with a baby sometimes, but I'm going back to the serious track. My intention is not, haz v'shalom, to create headaches to your life. My intention is to reinforce what the Musar of today wrote. That the parts of the body, you know the Gemara of today, I didn't read the Gemara because I concentrated on the prayer and this topic, but you know what the Gemara of today speaks about? About the ear of the person. Why do we have fingers in our hands? Which, by the way, till the time of Noah, all the fingers were together. After Noah, we became separated like the world, the Tower of Babel. Okay? The Gemara says, so when it comes to Lashon Hara, you are able to put your finger to block the words of Lashon Hara to come into our mind. The Gemara asks, why there is no bones on the ear? There are no bones. Look how flexible the ear is. So if you are about to listen to something not good, you take the earlobe and you cover the hole. I'm going to read you the Gemara. I don't write the book. I'm a tape recorder. I tell you what it says. I add my 2 cents like seasoning. Every chef has a different style of cooking. So I do it the way I think that is suitable for Miami and for the audience that we have. And the Gemara writes clearly, Tana דבר רבי ישמעאל, מפני מה אוזן העלייה רכה, האוזן כולה קשה, בעלייה רכה. All this is not that flexible, but the earlobe, it is. שמשמע דבר, אדם דבר שאינו הגון, יחוף עלייה לתוכה. So when something inappropriate is about to penetrate the ear, why the ear? The Gemara writes elsewhere that the ear is the fastest entry point to the human body. Let's say I don't want to see something. What do? I close my eyes. I don't have Superman eyes that I see transparency. So once I close my eyes, I don't see. Haz v'shalom. But my ears, I cannot close them.
Unless
the only thing I can do is pull my ear and try heke to cover. But I ask you a question. Does it become really? Say something to me.
Hello, 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 hello.
Okay, I have the other one already. Say something.
Hello, 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 hello.
I still hear. But guess what? I hear with 1 or 2 decibels. Yani volume 1 instead of, say hello again,
Hello, 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 hello.
volume 5. You understand? And that's what the Gemara of today. And it says, the Gemara concludes this. I'll read it quickly and this will finish. Tanura Banan, al yashmiya adam leosnav devarim betelim. I must say this. Non-kosher music. Non-kosher music. Rap and company. Rap, I don't know how many madregot of rap you have.
I don't understand it.
Baruch Hashem. Hazau Baruch. Hazau Baruch. Rap, besides what rap represents, the lyrics, the contents, the messages, and we use rap because I think that no one in this room listens to rap, and if you listen to rap, maybe you should stop. I know that there is kosher rap, by the way. There is kosher rap, but it's not something conducive to holiness. and it says, Al yashmiya adam leosnav devarim betelim mipene shehen michvod tehillah laevarim. The fastest entry point to the human body is the ear. Rashi, it says, כדי לא מחילה, Rashi quickly, the Pirush says, חוש השמיעה שבאוזן, the capacity of the human ear, הוא עלול להגיע בקל לידי איסור יותר משאר חושי האדם, is the fastest way to cause the person's spiritual downfall. The eyes you can close. That's it. You know, the Ben Ish Hai brings a Gemara story, a bit graphic. I'm not sure if I should say it. Maybe I shouldn't. But there was a rabbi, I gave you the simple version. There was a rabbi that the Yetzer Hara came to bother him. Yes. That's it. Yeah, I don't want to say the full version because we have minors and I don't want anybody to get crazy ideas. But there was a rabbi, extreme action, that the Yetzer Hara came to bother him. Left, right, front, back, center. What did he do? He removed his eyesight. True story, by the way. Don't do this. Haz v'shalom. And I'm not too happy that I said it because since you throw in the message, so I completed the sentence. Rabotai, our body is holy. We need to keep the mind holy. The mouth, we didn't speak about the mouth. You know, sometimes people wonder about prayers. Why prayers don't achieve what they're supposed to achieve? Short answer, is everything that you eat kasher or no? That's question number one. Number two, is our mouth contaminated or our mouth is holy? Do we speak like a Jew or we speak like somebody from the street? We can continue, but I said 3 times already that I'm finishing. So the third one is Rabbi Hananiah. Okay, my good friends? For those on vacation, enjoy your day, and we'll see you B'ezrat Hashem a bit later. Baruch Adonai